at the lotus feet of Baba and Sai Ram to all. As per the tradition of our school, let us chant Omkar thrice, followed by bhajans to invoke the blessings of the Almighty.
A soldier marches on with pride. He fights for his country side by side. With bravery and courage, he stands tall. Protecting the nation, he gives his all. We are honored to have amongst us the illustrious Lieutenant General Ajai Singh, PVSM, AVSM, Chairman Dr. Ramesh Baheti, Director Shri M.G. Paranjpe, Honorary Secretary Mr. Tribhuvan Sachdeva, Honorary Treasurer C.A. Sham Bhatia, Principal Dr. Anju Chopra, members of the Board of Governors, members of the Parents Committee, honorable principals of other schools, distinguished guests, media persons, dear parents and children, we cordially welcome you all. It is a privilege to learn lessons on leadership from the eminent Lieutenant General Ajai Singh, Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal. The 16th Commander-in-Chief, Andaman and Nicobar Command, has been bestowed with the Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, Army Commander Commendation 4 times, and the CISC Commendation. He has also earned war reports in Operations Meghdoot and Vijay. An alumnus of the Lorem School Sanar, Lieutenant General Ajai Singh was 4th in the All India UPSC merit for NDA. Commissioned in December 1983, he opted for 81st Armored Regiment, a regiment raised by his late father. Having passed out 5th in merit from IMA with the Parachute Regiment Medal for physical fitness and General Bhagat Medal for small arms firing. He is the 5th generation in the Cavalry Armored Corps, with family service covering over 164 years from 13th of September 1858.
During service, the officer has had the privilege of tenanting a variety of appointments across all 6 Army Geographical Commands, as well as the Army Headquarters ITS, and with the United Nations. He has also had 3 volunteer tenures at the Siachen Glacier, in the Kashmir Valley, and in Eastern Command. In 2009 and 10, he authored a concept paper on tank ammunition stocking policy, and in consultation with IRDA Dehradun, a paper on night enabling roadmap for the Army. The officer's other important exposures include tenures with the Rashtriya Rifles in the Kashmir Valley on the border with China in Sikkim, as a brigadier in charge Army Concepts and Combat Power at the Doctrine branch of the Army Training Command, where he authored the draft of the current Army Land Warfare Doctrine 2018. In this period, he also conducted doctrine writing workshops for select Sri Lanka Army officers at Sri Lanka and at ARTRAC in India. As an ADG at the Military Operations Directorate in 2017 and 18, he helped implement the Shakitkar Committee recommendations. He enjoys golf and cycle polo and is a voracious reader who's fond of keeping abreast of new technology and international relations. A decorated officer of the Indian Army, Lieutenant General Ajai Singh hung his boots in April 2023. It is an extraordinarily proud occasion and a humbling moment to welcome a great hero like Lieutenant General Ajai Singh. I request the head boy Avdesh Dubey and head girl Dishi Jain to kindly extend a floral welcome to the Lieutenant General Ajai Singh. Thank you. Our school has been known for academic excellence, but now we have made a mark in sports too. I would like to share that our under-17 girls football team has won the Subroto Cup district level tournament for the 2nd consecutive year against the Daily College and the Everett Heights International School, the 2 premier institutes of the city. The team has now qualified for the state level tournament. Our chairman, Dr. Ramesh Baheti, a Sai devotee, is a great industrialist and an eminent educationist. I cordially invite Chairman Dr. Ramesh Baheti to address the August gathering and welcome all.
To everybody, our honored chief guest, Lieutenant General Mr. Ajai Singh, distinguished guest, respected Prime Minister, my esteemed colleagues, Secretary Mr. Tribhuvan Sardev and Treasurer Mr. Shyam Bhatia, our never-tiring principal, Mrs. Anju Chopra, learned members of the faculty, and my lovely students. It's a great occasion for me on this pleasant, rainy, Shravan evening to extend a great warm welcome to Mr. Ajai Singh. We are indeed grateful to you, sir, that you accepted our invitation and to address our parents, guests, and students on the motivational factor, which is the key factor now for the survival of the humanity. Mr. Ajai Singh has served in the army for 40 years and family for 5 generations, totaling 165 years. What a wonderful combination of services to the nation along with MA and MSc, along with MBA and MC, and still his thirst for knowledge, his hunger for wisdom is not silencing him, and still he is doing PhD. He has got so many awards during his tenure of 40 years of distinguished services to army that it will take at least 15 to 20 minutes to narrate them. All the qualities of a good human being and a good soldier are in him. And to get such distinguished personality is the privilege of our school. We mankind are scared of one thing, that is the death. We pray to all Bhagwan, but never pray to Yamraj to come to our home. But in army, the day they join, they put their death as a mortgage to Yamraj and tell to Yamraj, whenever you want us, call us, we are at your disposal. This is called the sacrifice for the nation. You see, in 1965, war with Pakistan, Havaldar Abdul Hamid was at the verge of the death. There was hardly a gap of a minute or two, but still during that 1 or 2 minutes, he wanted to damage the enemies with men and material and armaments to the highest extent. He did not worry for his family, he did worry for his nation. And this is called the patriotism. And why we all are in the safe hall, why we are in the safe atmosphere and environment, because of our army, who have taken on their shoulders to maintain the sovereignty and integrity of our nation. Now, I come to motivational part. Leadership, generally, an impression is politics makes the leader and leader makes the politics. Second one, now intelligentsia, feel leadership is the corporate and professional leadership. No, each one of us is leader, and leadership starts from home. Leadership starts from our mother, sister, and house manager. कभी आपने ये सुना आज तक यहाँ पे 3 जनरेशन के कई व्यक्ति बैठे हैं और शायद 4th जनरेशन के, पर कभी अपन ने अपने जीवन में एक दिन भी ये नहीं सुना कि हमारी माँ हमें ये कह रही है कि आज खाने में नमक नहीं है क्योंकि मैं नमक सोर्स नहीं कर पाई। जबकि आर्मी में भी in good and bad times, sometimes there is a supply bottleneck. But in the house management, nobody has yet seen any bottleneck. So the management starts from home. There is no better leader than our mother. What we learn from her, this is how our learning in the school, college, university continues, and we become a better human being. So I am sure today, with the motivational talk by Lieutenant General Ajai Singh on lessons of leadership from the army will greatly motivate us to maintain a corporate leadership. Sometimes we have to be liberal. We feel to gain the loyalty of the maximum people makes me a good leader. It may be so in corporate world, but not in the army. There is a very strict army manual. You can't give and tolerate the liberty from your subordinates and still to maintain the leadership in that discipline is a very great thing. This is how we have to learn that out of that discipline era of army, how the leadership is created and maintained. With this, again, I wish to express my deepest gratitude to Lieutenant General Mr. Ajai Singh for his kind presence to motivate us. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. Leadership is the art of inspiring and guiding others towards a common vision, empowering them to unleash their full potential. A true leader leads by example, fostering collaboration and cultivating a culture of trust and growth. Through their influence, they shape the path to success and leave a lasting impact on those they lead. I now request Honorable Lieutenant General Ajai Singh to guide us all with his enlightening words.
Dr. Mrs. Baheti, distinguished members of the Board of Governors, which includes the principal, students, parents, and of course, our teachers, and all other distinguished people present here. At the outset, I would like to extend my humble gratitude that you felt it appropriate enough to call me to share some of my experiences on what I feel leadership is all about. I'm greatly humbled, sir, by your kind words, by the kind words of a student who spoke. And I'd like to assure you there's nothing exceptional. There are many, many more people, silent people in the army, who've done far greater deeds, which possibly may not have been as recognized. For our children who are wondering, who's this and what is he going to talk to us about? As Dr. Baheti has brought out, leadership is about you. Leadership is not about the army, that's only one very small part of leadership. Leadership is for every person. Like he said, it starts with your mother, it starts when you're born, it starts in your house. But everyone may not be so privileged. But before I come to that, I'd like you to please join me to extend a big hand to the wonderful students who put up such a fine performance. Thank you. All of you have read the book Sherlock Holmes? The novels of Sherlock Holmes or the episodes of Sherlock Holmes? Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were very good friends. They used to go to a crime scene together, and one day Dr. Watson asked Mr. Holmes, he says, and 5 days, 6 days a week they were together every evening. He said, Mr. Holmes, how is it? We go to the same crime scene together. I don't understand how you find the clue. He just asked him, and Mr. Holmes' house was a typical London house, a little above the ground, above the road, with a basement, little window popping up. He said, Mr. Holmes, we've been friends for, Dr. Watson, we've been friends for how long? He says 17 odd years, if I remember the series, or the clue of the missing stone or something. He says, friends for 17 odd years. How many times have you come to my house? 5 days a week. How many steps lead up to my house? He says, I'll go and count. He said, if you haven't counted in 17 years, you'll never find the clue. There is a difference between seeing and observing. It is also part of leadership. I observed today the fastidious detail in the colors of the national flag. The details and efforts put in by everyone for the evening. I observed today the thought for the day on leadership as I entered the school. I observed today the beautiful layout of this wonderful school and the aspect of spirituality along with sports and studies and other things the school is famous for, and of course the sports performance we heard of. So my compliments to all of you, because a leader is also a wholesome personality. You cannot be good in one thing and not good in another and say that I'm a leader. You don't say you're a leader. It's the others who will say you're a leader. You can get an appointment by the government of India, but your respect you have to earn. That no one can appoint for you. You can get something on your shoulders for those who wear uniform. But once you've got it, what you do with it is your choice. I am no one to teach you about leadership, but I will share some of my experiences and some of my thoughts. With that as a backdrop, I would like to say that so that you can understand, I have structured my talk with you in 3 parts. I will speak about leadership in one part. I will speak about some terms and types of qualities of leaders. And then I will give you some examples from the army. First, something about leadership. So I heard already a student say, he preempted my first question, what is a leader? Today we have a very good, alright, when I was a student your age, I used to read these books by Louis L'Amour, Sudden. Those were westerns where people in America draw a weapon and whatever. But I remember one thing. And what I remember is a story about a rancher. They used to take cattle from one coast to the markets, and they will drive the cattle a few hundred or some 10-20 kilometers every night, and then they will put them into a pen. And when the cattle are resting for the night, the rancher will put a little fire, put some baked beans or something on the fire, and then he settles down for the night. So this rancher had about a book, torn pages of a book, about 30-40 pages, which for next 6 months, when he was going from one coast to the other, every night he would read those torn 20 pages. He knew them by heart. Today we take so much for granted. You have at your access Dr. Google. Today doctors are fed up. यार ये Dr. Google वाले पढ़ के आ जाते हैं, फिर हमारे को सिखाते हैं. Can you imagine the time the printing press was first made in 1460 by Gutenberg, something like that? It reached America in 1600. Till the printing press was not made, teaching was by folklore, father to son, gurukul, whatever you have, but there was no written to papyrus and read and whatever else. So therefore, when printing press made Akshar available, it enabled people's imagination to take wings of flight by reading something. Parents encourage children, schools encourage children, you must learn the habit of reading. The medium of television and cartoons will teach you nothing useful. It's reading which sets your mind going different places. Today, you don't have to go to a library. That reading is available to you on your mobile through the help of Dr. Google. And therefore, this question of what or who is a leader, I will leave for you for your own discovery, because I am conscious of the fact that in the audience there are students of all ages. So the senior students may understand. Today I was taking a lecture this morning for some infantry officers in infantry school. Tomorrow I am taking another one in the Army War College. The book may be the same, we have a pamphlet on defense. But when a young officer reads it, he takes out separate meaning from it. When someone older reads it, he takes out separate meaning from it. And this is also about our Bhagavad Gita. जब वानप्रस्थ आश्रम में जाते हैं, तो गीता अलग तौर से, अलग उस मतलब से पढ़ते हैं. When you are a young child, you may not have the patience to read it in a manner an older person may read. The book is the same. So I would like to suggest to you, this is very important. Look at the difference in the cartoon which I picked up. A boss is standing behind and saying, push it here or go there. A leader is leading from the front, but we just heard that. We heard that from the student who gave the definition of a leader. He pulls from front, doesn't push from behind. More importantly, and I want to ask this question, are leaders born or are leaders made? Which student can tell me an answer to this? I mean, of course, I won't say which country, but there are certain organizations where leadership goes father to son. I'm not talking of political parties, all right? So, but are leaders born? Yeah, but come. Are you sure? But I will say King Charles was born to leadership. His mother, Queen Elizabeth, was born to leadership.
But are they good leaders? That is the thing.
No, this is a question of discovery for our students. That's come better. This is a question asked to the army officers.
Anybody can become a leader.
Very good.
And it's not just about being privileged, but it's the feeling of leading and keeping a company together and leading it in a positive way.
Very good. Please sit. Gentlemen, you can be born a leader. You can be born into a privileged family which can give you entitlement or leadership. But like I said, just because the star comes on my shoulder doesn't mean I'm a leader. I have to earn that. You may be born Prince Charles or born Queen Elizabeth. But what you do with that facet of birth Just because you're born and become the King of England or Queen of England doesn't make you a good leader. You're just born into leadership. Leadership is acquired. Sometimes, do you mean to tell me people who are taught or people who are not taught are not leaders? So I won't say leadership comes from education. But the tools and knowledge of leadership get sharpened through the medium of education, through the medium of awareness and leading. After all, Gandhiji said, blessed are those who can learn from others' mistakes. But somehow we all want to learn from our own mistakes. That is where education comes in. So you read about biographies of famous leaders. It's not only army people who are leaders, they're leaders in all walks of life. You are tomorrow's leaders who are sitting here. There are doctors who are leaders, there are lawyers who are leaders, there are politicians who are leaders, there are leaders in all. And of course, the biggest leader of all is the one who looks after home and hearth, and Dr. Baheti talked about the mother. So therefore, you already answered it, Bita. You can be born privileged, but leadership comes through learning. After all, there was that beautiful saying, character, friendship is nurtured in solitude. It was by Goethe, the famous philosopher. Friendship is nurtured in solitude. Character is formed in the stormy billows of the world. जो जीवन की आंधी के झोंके आते हैं उससे आपका कैरेक्टर बनता है. एक सैनिटाइज कमरे में बैठ के कोई कैरेक्टर नहीं बनाता. थोड़ा हार्डशिप होगा, थोड़ा अप एंड डाउन होगा, थोड़ा स्कूल में बुलिंग होगा, तभी जाके आप हीरा भी हीरा नहीं बनता जब तक उसको रगड़ के पॉलिश नहीं करते. So that is the aspect of learning and incorporating and becoming a leader. But you can't become a leader unless you know what leadership is about. Yes, you can. Like I told you, you think uneducated people were not leaders? Before 1460, before printing press came and those who didn't go to the Gurukul, we didn't get leaders from those people? We did. But maybe the journey would not be so fast or so quick or so efficient. And today it's all about efficiency. My next question, 3, the rule of 3. Who's a soldier? Any student. Who's a soldier? What a simple question. No one come, please try. Yeah, please get up better. There are lots of hands going up. Anyone. Don't feel shy. This is confidence in public speaking. That is the mark of a leader.
Anybody who has courage to fight?
And the courage to stand up and answer. Give her a hand. So what's your name, better?
Amma.
Very good. But you said anyone who's a soldier who has courage to fight. Do you have the courage to fight?
Yes.
Will you join the army?
Yes.
Okay, good. Give her a hand for that. But tell me, supposing you have to answer a question, no sir, I want to become a doctor. Will you not be a soldier of the nation?
So I didn't mean to fight with people, I meant courage to fight with the circumstances.
Yes. Jo, I say that better you have stolen my words because whenever I go, the army is fighting with an increasing incidence of suicides. Last year we had 790 plus suicides. 790 educated, trained soldiers committed suicide. And I tell everyone, वो कमजोर कड़ी कौन was the serial टेलीविजन में देखते हैं, जो जीवन की परिस्थिति के सामने हार मान लेता है, तो दुश्मन के सामने तो पहले ही हार मान लेगा. शायद वो कमजोर कड़ी था. भगवान उसकी आत्मा को शांति दे, मगर वो फौजी बनने के लायक नहीं था. It's a cruel thing to say, but it's a difficult way to tell the others. आपकी चाहे शादी हुई हो नहीं हो, चाहे बुजुर्ग माँ बाप हो नहीं हो, आपके दोस्त आपकी तरफ देखते हैं जो रिक्रूटी के लिए गया तो और बोलते हैं हमारा एक साथी फौजी बन गया. You must have the courage to fight. If you give up, not only can you not be a leader, but you will always have regret in life. So, a soldier is not someone who always wears a uniform. You can be a soldier for society by not seeing and accepting wrongdoing. Today, I'm not saying pick up a fight if someone is troubling someone. You have other weapons available to you. With your phone, you can take a video. You can upload it. You can share it with the police. You can be a responsible citizen. Don't be like those Western countries where someone has an accident, needs to go to a hospital, and the people are ignoring and going past. That is not a soldier. A soldier for society. A soldier for our country's future. There is a saying, a soldier, now I'm talking about an army soldier, a soldier doesn't fight the enemy because he hates the enemy. A soldier at the border fights, not because he has hate in his heart. He fights because he loves what is behind him. I want to expose you to some terms and tools of leadership. So when you consult Dr. Google or do your own research in the library, or some thoughts in your mind, what we are not aware of, we try and avoid. So befriend these terms. They are very simple terms. Like I'm speaking to you in English, this is our medium of communication. When people talk about leadership, the medium of communication will be some of these thoughts and ideas which I will just put on the next slide. Communication. There can be no leader without communication. I saw Mr. Shivkera come here. He's a wonderful communicator. But is communication only through words? Or can there be other forms of communication? Very good, Vijay. Would you, well done, thank you, please sit. Would you believe 80% communication, as per people who've carried out this research, is made without speaking a single word? 80% communication is non-verbal. 80% communication बिना एक शब्द बोले हासिल हो जाती है. I'll give you an example. Morale is something which is state of mind. How I am ready to fight, active. Well, morale is very good, sir. Do you think it's good? Now I'm walking here. How is my morale? Am I alert, ready to fight, soldier? I've not said a single word. Is the morale better than that demo? I've not said a single word. You know, as part of Ragda and NDA, come here, we used to have that birthday telegram number 5. You say, Manina, many happy returns of the day. So number 5 का telegram वो बाहर flower floor वाला आता था. जिसका birthday telegram आ गया, oh it's your birthday, come let's celebrate, start front rolling. For next 1 hour जो मिलता था रगड़ा देता था. We used to tell our parents, birthday telegram मत भेजना. Part of that Ragda in NDA, 4 years of Ragda. So part of that Ragda, come here, start laughing. Wipe it, put it in your pocket. But communication is not like this. You cannot be a person in your office, wherever your office may be, who's thaka hua, who doesn't do any work. We all have those type of people in our organization. We've seen some of them. And you come home at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever time, and ring your doorbell, and you've got 2 children, maybe son and daughter. You suddenly can't become like that NDA ka ragda, start laughing, put in your pocket. Now you're serious, your laughter has gone away. You will ring the doorbell also thaka hua. 80% your children will see you thaka hua. And then they will also become thaka hua. And there is no parent I've seen in life who doesn't want his child to be better than him. Is there any parent, any of you? So therefore, leadership by example also starts with the father at home and the mother at home, like Dr. Bhaithi said. Army तो बहुत बाद में आती है leadership में. Okay, I want to. That's so much about communication. We should be careful. There are people who come for a function, who dress up well. When you go for a job interview, its first impressions are a lot. Don't speak too much. Listen to the questioning. These are the people who will advise you when you go for career counseling. Now I want to share with you that there was no requirement for this serial 2 leadership theories. Serial 2 XYZ. But in the industrial revolution, we are in the third industrial revolution. In the first industrial revolution, machines came in. Printing press came in much earlier, 1600. But when industrialization came, steel started getting made, iron started getting made on a larger scale. Industrialization started with textiles. We are aware in India, Gandhiji's Andaman, stop buying and foreign clothes. हमारे से लेके बना के हमारे को बेच रहे हैं, हमारे से पैसा बना रहे हैं. Local industry खत्म कर रहे हैं. But the fact is, the march of industrialization got the textile making on a larger scale, got the steam engine, got electricity, and we saw how things developed. But part of this development was the factory. And the moment the factory came up, greater thought was given to serial 2, theories of leadership. When industrialization first came, theory X of leadership was the normal theory of leadership. In theory X, the manager believed that the worker is a shammer. You know what shammer means? वो काम नहीं करना चाहता. And the job of the manager, hunter मारो. जैसे you can Google slave ships. वो slave ships में अफ्रीका से slave पकड़ के फैक्ट्री में काम करने ले जाते थे, चाहे अमेरिका प्लांटेशंस, और उनको hunter मार के रो करवाते थे जब वो हवा नहीं होती थी सेल पे. Go Google slave ships. Dr. Google, I told you, is a wonderful companion, so long as you use him usefully. So in theory X, people believe, now this is the manager, factory manager, that the job of the manager is to flog the worker because the worker is a shammer. Then after some time, after a decade, theory Y came about. Because they saw that every worker is not like this. So theory Y said that every worker has a human desire to work. Work for him is as natural as food and water and sleep. It's a natural desire. And I'm not even going to waste time with Maslow's need hierarchy. And the job of the manager is only to provide a facilitatory environment for him to work. So the manager became a bada bhai from a hunter marne wala. So that was theory Y of leadership. And then in 1950s, a Japanese called William Auchi made a theory Z. Theory Z was about a term called Krushkis. Krushki was quality circles, centers of excellence. Today you have ISO 9000 and well beyond. So a center of excellence was, I would say this school is a center of excellence from what I've seen today. So other schools will come, acha, it's a good idea. They've just got this beautiful multi-storied, 4-storied sports campus. Let's also, so a center of excellence becomes an example for others to emulate. And after all, what did Shakespeare say? Flattery is the highest form of, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Alright? So, William Auchi in Theory Z said, create centers of excellence to become examples for others. So this is so far as theories of leadership. Now there is also leadership. I am exposing you gentlemen, ladies, boys, children, girls, to different facets. Leadership is not one pudiya which you have in your mouth. There are many dimensions of leadership. And as students, you just need, I'm going to share with you a little expose of what all are the dimensions. So when you read and you analyze and you read a biography, yes, he displayed good leadership of this type. Maybe the biography is not spoken of another type just because it's not spoken, doesn't mean he didn't have those qualities. So leadership, there can be situations and there can be types. I think I got it on the other slide, and qualities of a leader. Communication, I've spoken to you, verbal, non-verbal. Language. If I speak to you complicated language, wouldn't you be reaching for a dictionary? Some of our people in the country, we love it when they speak, but sometimes I also have to reach for a dictionary. What did he just say? That's not the aim of communication. When you go on a road and there's constant speed breakers, do you enjoy it or don't enjoy it? So these difficult words in communication become speed breakers for what is communication? When I'm speaking, my brain is thinking something, my vocal cords are modulating it, the speech is coming out, it can't go very far, microphone is carrying it to the speakers, from there it's going to your ears, it's going to your brain, you are demodulating and understanding. Yes, the most, when we were doing MBA, I was a young officer, 1987, we had a lecture by a good communicator called Professor Sharu Rangekar. And he gave an example. He said, I was at Trivandrum airport. You had to walk to your aeroplane in a line, boarding pass. And I had a friend, and I suddenly met him after university, and I said, what are you doing? He says, it took me a while to understand that he was an English professor in Delhi University. He says, वो इतना complicated manner में उसने बोला, मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया, and I had to say, just say again what you're doing. He said, I told you, you mean you're a professor of English in Delhi University? I mean, do we talk to impress or do we talk to convey? A good leader talks not to impress, a good leader talks to convey. And therefore, when you speak, you must always think, who's my target audience? Do I have to speak like this? Or can I? After all, the time is limited for all of us. My sharing things with you today is successful if when you go away from this hall and you are at night, I can give you some mental pictures. Yeah, uncle ne ye bola tha. Maybe I should think about it. That's my aim. And if after thinking that you consult Dr. Google, then my aim plus is achieved. Because I have aroused in you a small curiosity, कि इसके बारे में let me read something more. Alright? The gender of communicator. Who are the girls in the audience? Can you put your hand up? Okay, I'll share some good news with you. Thank you. Girls are better communicators. Do you know that in the Israeli army, 90% of the instructors who teach are girls, lady officers. Lady, not officers, ladies. Communication is about 4 things, RSVP. It is the pitch of your voice, the modulation of your voice, how you speak, the tone of your voice. And that's why air traffic controllers who control fighter aeroplanes, who control ATC aeroplane car, most of them are ladies, girls. The tone of voice, Dr. Google said, turn right. You take a man's voice, you take a girl's voice, you have an option now. Not because the boy likes to hear a girl's voice, but it is scientific, and therefore the Israeli army, and you know what happened just 3 days ago or 5 days ago? Admiral Lisa Franchetti has been nominated by the American president as the first lady chief of naval staff of US Navy. Okay. So the gender of the communicator you must keep in mind, it's important. Language should be simple, and remember, just because you're not speaking doesn't mean you're not communicating. 80% communication is without saying a single word. So if I'm taking a lecture or someone else is speaking and you're just tick 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 with your pen, many teachers get very irritated. I also pay attention, tick tick tick. हमारे टीचर तो थप्पड़ मारने लगते थे किसी ने बॉल पेन से टिक टिक करा तो. See? Or, so you don't have to say anything. If you're looking down, you're not interested, you say the student is not interested. Isn't it? So 80% non-verbal, I've shared with you. I've spoken about theories, situations. A situation could be structured or unstructured. When you have appointments in school and you have a morning assembly and you have a house prefect and you have a school captain, is it a structured situation or unstructured? Structured. Now you have a group of tourists going to Nathula, it's on the China border. Suddenly it snows, vehicles are stuck up. If you stay in the vehicle, you will freeze and die at night. No one wants to come out because उस वक्त तो गाड़ी थोड़ी चल रही है, पेट्रोल से warm है. You keep it warm too much, carbon monoxide will come inside. You need the warmth. When it is very cold, you get hypothermia, you start withdrawing, but that's the time you have to start moving. You have enough glucose stored in your body to keep you alive for 7 days, provided you don't sit down with the cold. There was a folklore passed down in Siachen. There was a blizzard, 4 people, there's an 80-foot rope with the climbing ropes. 80 feet rope, every 20 feet is tied to your belt. So that if anyone goes down in the crevice, everyone shouts crevice and goes down and puts the ice axe into the ground so that the weight of one person can be supported by 3 and all 4 don't get pulled inside. So you go roped up. So there was a rope of 4 going and a blizzard happened. In blizzard, I can't even see this lecture stand. Everything is white out. Now if you walk, you may go into a crevice. You may lose your way. Because how you remember the way is you take a black wire, telephone wire, take an old jerry can and you put it, but when it is snowing, the wire gets hidden, your way is lost. So you have to catch it from one side, lift it, go 10 meters, lift it and take it above the snow so that the way is shown that this is the safe way without crevices. How did he make those people touch his feet till today? What did that NCO do? He said, we can't see anything. If we sit down, we'll die by tomorrow. So he put his danda in the center and he made people next 9 hours walk round and round. It was about 6 hours, sorry, walk round and round. Just walk round and round. And every time someone would get tired, he would hit them. Keep walking. Because he knew he had to make them walk against their human desire to just sit down and relax. So, that situation was not structured. He was from amongst them. This tourist stuck in a bus in Nathula, floods come up. Those are not structured situations. So a situation could be structured, unstructured, a group could be organized, unorganized. When you have yellow house and red house standing, these are organized groups. But you suddenly have a bus accident and people come out. Is that, there's a group of people, but is it organized? No. Is the situation structured? No. So you can have 4 situations, a structured and a structured group, a structured and an unstructured. There are 4 combinations. Leadership can emerge in all 4 combinations. Next, there are types of leadership. An autocrat. Xi Jinping, China. You question him, you won't be heard again. Forget कल के किंग किसने देखे, आज का तो Xi Jinping देखा ही है. Autocrat. All right. Participating. I asked, we heard about Greek civilizations, about democracy, participative leadership. Democratic leadership, we have it in our country. The Chinese used to make fun of us at Nathula border. You know, chaps are democratic, the Indian elephant goes very slow, the Chinese tiger goes very fast. 2008 Olympics were coming up. We said, look, any day, the slow but democratic Indian elephant is better than the autocratic Chinese. They also knew what we were saying. There is, when you do international relations, there is a theory called democratic peace theory. That democracies rarely go to war with each other because they are inherent checks and balances. Autocracies go to war very quickly. मेरी इज्जत खत्म हो गई, खुंदक हो गया, order pass करो, कल attack करें. See, so, but there are advantages, disadvantages. Decision making may be slower. And there is another type of leadership called laissez-faire leadership. Can any student tell me what they understand by this? Yeah, Beta, tell me.
Sir, it is a Latin maxim saying, let it be.
Yeah, very good. Give him a hand. Laissez-faire leadership is couldn't-care leadership. Matlab leadership which is more there by its absence than its presence. So you have to be guarded from that type of leadership also. There is no leadership. जिसने जो करना है कर लो. I am a school prefect. जब सर नहीं आ रहे, मैंने कुछ नहीं करना, तुम सब करो जो करना. That's not why you were made a school prefect. Sorry, it doesn't apply to you. I mean, I was talking about myself. That's the point. So, but we must understand all states are not all at the same time. I am a very participative leader in normal circumstances. But when I took 256 men with me up to fight in Kargil and Siachen, I couldn't recognize myself. In that 1 year, there was no participation. I was totally autocratic. You did everything the way I did, otherwise you were in trouble. Because I had only one task. And that task should be clear for a leader. As it is dangerous, we are fighting the enemy is attacking us, artillery is coming, the crevice is below us. I had only one task. कि मैं 256 लेके जा रहा हूं, पूरी कोशिश करूंगा. ये जानते हुए कि संभव नहीं है कि 256 वापस लेके आऊं और किसी घर में चूड़ी ना टूटे. I could lose only 2 boys and we killed 39 Pakistanis. But that type of leadership doesn't come by democracy. यार आज अटैक करें या नहीं करें? कल सुबह करते हैं यार, आज की रोटी अच्छी बनी है. So leadership, I'm giving you this extreme example to tell you, leadership also changes by the situation, leadership changes by the structure, by the group. And leadership, 1 minute you can be an autocratic leader, tomorrow morning you can be participative. So I'm giving you an element of understanding to say that everyone is not bad all the time, everyone is not autocratic all the time, and the group understands when that autocratic requirement is there. फॉरगेट दूर की बात, बारिश के पानी में गाड़ी फंस गई, 4 लोग धक्का मार रहे हैं, एक मोबाइल पे देख रहा है, 4 आदमी की जरूरत है उसको निकालने के लिए, धक्का 3 मार रहे हैं, एक मोबाइल पे मैसेज पढ़ रहा है, गाड़ी निकलेगी? व्हाट डू यू से? दम लगा के हाइशा. व्हाई? दैट हाइशा इज अ सिग्नल फॉर एवरीवन टू स्टार्ट पुशिंग टुगेदर. You saw that first, the boss and the manager. Which gadi will come out, the boss's gadi or the manager's gadi? Or the boss of the leader, sorry. You remember that? Napoleon said, the acme of leader lies in a leader knowing which wheel to put his shoulder to. That's another presentation. But in the time of Napoleon's wars in 1700, the cannon had just come about. The cannon had big wheels. You've seen cannons photographs? So those big wheels used to be pushed sometimes by horses or sometimes by men, where horses couldn't go in the last bit. और कीचड़ में फंस जाती थी. लड़ाई used to be in rain, in कीचड़. And the troops used to be marching for 1 or 2 days without food, tired, because you had to reach before the enemy. And they were thaka hua and down. Troops were down everywhere, invariably tired. But the leader knew which is the most important point in battle. He can't, if there are 100 guns, he can't put his shoulder to all 100 to motivate the men, dam laga ke haisha. But he must know at which point of the battle he should be when to influence the battle with his presence. We see it in election. Sometimes senior leaders come at a particular time because they know that idhar to seat dagmaga rahi hai. See, that is what leadership, to try and influence the outcome. That's what Napoleon said 600 years ago. He also said a famous saying, one look is worth 100 reports. एक बार खुद देखना 100 आदमी की रिपोर्ट सुनने के बराबर है. That's leadership. Okay. Qualities of a leader. I told you second term, look on top, we are speaking about the second part of my 3 parts. And the 4th aspect, qualities of a leader. These are understandable. The army has 7 core values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. In Delhi, there was a very unfortunate incident of Nirbhay. Yes? I told my daughter also. In the days after that, parents were worried. Beta, taxi leni hai na? Kisi khalse ki taxi lena. Why? He doesn't have to be a leader or an army person to be told respect. Respect for women. I used to be very, very ruthless. Everyone is not equal. If I ever came to know that anyone had not been honorable in his interaction with women, ladies, anyone, anywhere, we have all types of people. कभी ट्रेन में किसी फौजी का रिपोर्ट आती है, कभी किसी की आती है. सोसाइटी में लोग होते हैं, they come from the same aspects of society. And I would say, जो अपनी बहन बेटी की रक्षा नहीं कर सकता, वो देश की रक्षा क्या करेगा? So when you look at an army man, and we are very ruthless in this, our officers SSB academies, there's one in Bhopal where I had gone. For 100 students who come, they will only take 30 or 40. Our officers may be short. That's one way of doing it. There are other ways, government services, where 100 vacancy, 100 bhar lenge. No sir. Because those 100 can't be leaders. We have psychological testing. When the need comes to put his life on the line, will he lead from the front or will he lead from behind? Those psychologists will tell you the nature of that person. And if he's one of those who's not leading from the front, then like she said, leaders are made. If you have those innate characteristics, then you can't be made beyond a point. Thank you very much. Find another profession. Because here, you have to have these core values. The core values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and like she said, personal courage. These are values of every citizen of India, but they are especially important for the army. The different corps, armies have their own. I just said US Marine Corps. You may say, sir, magar unka 12 है, Indian solution for Indian problem, हमने तो साथ रखा. Mission command, army qualities to acquire. If you were a student and you had to look up qualities, ask yourself and think of these words. I'll leave this presentation behind. Discipline. If you cannot be disciplined in life, you can achieve nothing in life. If you can't have a strong focus, if you don't have integrity, if you don't have loyalty, if you don't have selfless commitment or courage, or some other virtues like this, you can't be a good enough citizen, evil enough, being a good enough leader. So try and imbibe this. We heard that famous example of Yudhishthir saying, गुरुकुल में अध्यापक ने गुरु ने बोला था गुस्से पे काबू पाना आना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग छोटा सा सबक था, गुस्से पे काबू पाना आना चाहिए. यू हर्ड दैट स्टोरी. नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग सबक सीख लिया, नहीं. 9 ने बोला सीख लिया, 5 4 ने, 1 ने बोला नहीं, थप्पड़ पड़ा. 10-15 दिन हो गए, रोज थप्पड़ पड़ता था. इसे यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड. 12वें दिन थप्पड़ पड़ा, सीख लिया. हाँ सर, आज कैसे सीखा? 12 दिन से थप्पड़ पड़ रहे हैं. The issue is not the language. गुस्से पे काबू आना सीखना चाहिए. He says रोज गुस्सा आता था जब थप्पड़ मारते थे, आज मैंने काबू कर लिया, आज मैं सीखा हूं सब. So these lessons of integrity, discipline, strong focus, these are the most important lessons for our students in whichever life sphere you are, because you are all leaders for tomorrow's India. We have served our time, and I have come to take this lecture. I've taken out time just to be with you, to share with you that we hope for a better India through all of you. There are some other sayings, you will find them, I'll leave it behind. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Do you know that 26 out of 46 American presidents have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force? Do you know that 14 have been athletes at the college level? Army, Navy, Air Force, I can understand. Athletes at college, you cannot become an athlete without those qualities I told you to imbibe. Discipline, focus. It got them elsewhere. Never give in. There was an American president, President Abraham Lincoln, lost 14 elections, won the 15th, became the president. Never gave in. Had that courage of conviction. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, no one has to tell you, you know that you're a leader. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sails for the change direction of the wind. A good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less of his share of the credit. I think that's what we are. And leadership, of course, is the art of getting someone to do something you want done, because you've managed to motivate him to want to do it. That's the quality of a leader. Now the last part, I'll run through it quickly. How are we for time? How much more time do we have? I want to leave time for question answers. I told you, a true soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him, but because he loves what's behind him. Gentlemen, we have people who don't wish us well at the borders. Let's be clear about it. We are a society who's formed together in democratic values. You know what's happening in Afghanistan in the Taliban? Girls' education and all that. It's now people in Kashmir have realized that hamari aankhein khul gayi, sir. This is not what we want. And today the disconnect between Kashmir and Pakistan forcibly occupied Kashmir couldn't be more stark. Equal rights, uniform adult suffrage. Pakistan is an army which has a country. I was doing a course in London, and Ahmed Rashid, who wrote many books, he just written Descent into Chaos, came to take a lecture, and I asked him a question. And he said, you are in civil dress, but when you pick up your hand, you have to get up and say, Sir, Brigadier Ajai Singh, Indian Army. His face fell. I was towards the back, he was far away. And he knew what I wanted him to say in front of everyone. There were 3 Pakistan Army officers also attending the course. And he said, Brigadier, I know what you want me to say, but I will not give you that pleasure. But I will just say that in Pakistan, the army does not consider it expedient enough, and I won't use a difficult word for the young students, important enough, to share foreign policy and security policy with the Prime Minister. The army doesn't think it important enough for the Prime Minister to know what our foreign policy, for him to know what our security policy is. And therefore people rightly say, Pakistan is not a country. It is an army which has a country. Do you know that in the Indian army, we are proud to be the people's army. When there was I was a colonel, 2009, when there was Naxal incidents in Chhattisgarh, the army was asked and the chief came to Calcutta and asked us, should we deploy? And most of the people said, no sir. The Indian army doesn't fight our Indian people. We fight the enemy. Tomorrow you can say, but you fight the Indian people in Kashmir. Because in Kashmir it's not the Indian people, it is the people who have come from across the border and got inside the people and tried to fight and instigate and become secessionists. But no one is coming in the Naxal areas. Vijayawada, Abujmar, Dantewada, they are not coming across the border. They are our people. And therefore we are proud to say that our Supreme Commander is the President. Our allegiance is to the Constitution of India and to the people of India. China has an army. But do you know whose army it is? It's the army of the party, Communist Party, PLA. And that's why it's called PLA Army, PLA Navy, PLA Air Force. It's not the army of the people. And that's why in Tiananmen Square, they could take a tank over the people so easily. Now articles are coming out of how many people they killed in that one night to crush the rebellion. So feel proud. When I told you that I would rather live in a country any day with the slow-moving democratic elephant than the autocratic dragon. This is where you can see it coming together. There were Pakistan army officers' wives telling my wife in London, they used to feel ashamed to say we are Pakistani. They said, हम जब कहीं जाते हैं दुकान में पूछते हैं आप पाकिस्तान, are you from Pakistan? We say, no, we are from India. The Pakistan army officers' wives said, no, we are from India. And वैसे तो इंडिया ही था ना इंडिपेंडेंस से पहले. That is their rationale. So feel proud of being Indians. Even the Pakistanis call themselves Indians. I want to just share with you before I give you these examples, because as young students you may not understand the hardship which are soldiers. These are very old photographs, 23 years at the time of the Kargil war. I remember after the war, after 1 year there, a grown-up man who was 48 years old, we sat in a train, we came in an aeroplane wearing 3 layers of clothes. It was very warm, it was December, coming down from minus 40 degrees. And then I was going up, a friend of mine runs a hotel chain, a restaurant chain in Chandigarh called Hot Million. So I was with him in the evening. He said, give me 2 minutes, I'll just finish my business. He was giving a franchise. So they were saying, can we take the deep freezers from this company, some local company? He said, no, only from this. So I said, why are you so insistent? He said, Ajay, you don't understand. जो हमारी आइसक्रीम होती है ना, बिजली चली जाती है, डीप फ्रीजर में जब वो पिघल जाएगी और लाइट आएगी तो उसके ऊपर बर्फ जम जाती है और फिर वो खाने में मजा नहीं आता, लोग बोलेंगे आइसक्रीम खराब है. जब इस कंपनी का डीप फ्रीजर होगा तो लाइट जाने के बाद 7 घंटे तक भी वो टेम्परेचर रहेगा, because it's better quality. And I remembered, I said, how much is the temperature you're talking of? All of us have fridges at home. The temperature in the freezer of a fridge is -3 to -5. Minimum temperature. The temperature in a deep freezer where you have that ice cream is -12 to -15. At my post on Siachen, every day there was a person from the Snow and Avalanche Study Establishment, we call it SASE in Chandigarh. One person who used to record the data, wind speed, temperature maximum, minimum, and come and give the morning report. Jai Hind Shriman, आज का minimum, आज का report, कल का minimum तापमान इतना. So the last day before I was leaving, his report said कल का minimum तापमान -42. We used to, if I was size 8 shoes, I was given size 10 shoes. Swiss shoes called Koflage. 8 pairs of socks, 16 pairs of socks we were given. You wore 8 pairs of those woolen socks, like those Mote sport socks. 8 pairs, one on top of the other. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then put it, and those, it became so thick. And that's why your shoes were 2 size big. Without 8 pairs, your feet will freeze. So remember, when you're feeling cold, I met someone in Bombay who said, I don't go to Delhi for weddings in winter. हमने तो आज तक स्वेटर नहीं देखी, रज़ाई नहीं देखी, उधर तो बहुत ठंड होती है. But just remember, children, when you're cold, it's not cold. Your clothing is not correct, so you're feeling cold. And the first principle of correct clothing is layers. Please wear layers. और कुछ नहीं है ना? पजामा पहन लो पैंट के नीचे, लेयर हो जाता है, ट्रैप्स द हीट, कीप्स योर बॉडी वार्म। यू सी दोस इंग्लिश पिक्चर्स, कोई पानी में गिर जाता है, सबसे पहले वो 112 एम्बुलेंस क्या देती है? पीस ऑफ एल्यूमिनियम, बिल्कुल लाइट पीस, पुट्स इट अराउंड, इट रिफ्लेक्ट्स द हीट एंड कीप्स इट इनसाइड। दैट्स व्हाई इन आवर होम्स वी हैव एल्यूमिनियम फॉइल्स। So right, so these pictures reflect a very, this man I was telling you about, we came down to the airport in a IL aeroplane, Chandigarh, we were getting late, we had to catch Shatabdi, the last Shatabdi was leaving, so we got onto a water truck, just back from Kargil war, and we were reaching the, who had time to change? सड़क पे थोड़ी change करोगे, कपड़े उतारोगे. So we went, just boarded the train, तो घर छुट्टी जा रही थी, इस दिन की छुट्टी मिली है. And now, our clothes were smelling of kerosene, had not had a bath for 2-3 months, and so suddenly there was my buddy Shivappa Ambagi. He spread out a newspaper, opened my one suitcase, chota VIP suitcase, took out a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, बाकी सब north वाले sweater में पहने. तो he said, "Sir, आप change कर लें पहले, आप change कर लें." So I went, change came back. Then it was Subedar Fakira Nagwekar's time. He was the GC I was talking about. Passed away last year, God bless his soul. He came back and like an excited child, he said, "Sir, इधर तो नलके में पानी है। एक साल तो पानी बर्फ खोदते थे, थोड़ा सा इस तरफ चले गए, दुश्मन देखेगा, गोली मारेगा। तो अगर आप इतने में ही मूव कर सकते हो, तो इधर ही बर्फ पड़ती है 27 फुट, पिघलती है 27 फुट गर्मियों में, मगर आपसे पहले 20 साल उसी पोस्ट पे लोग रह रहे हैं। तो जब आप आज की बर्फ खोदोगे और थोड़ा नीचे चले गए, तो पानी में कभी स्मेल भी आता है, तो यार आज थोड़ा सा स्मेल है, कहीं और से खोदना ना कर." That is the environment we are living in. When we started inducting, the first thing we did is shaved our hair. There is no place for a bath, but थोड़ा सा पानी लेके यूं कर लोगे सर पे तो बाल साफ हो गए, खुजली नहीं होगी, बीमारी नहीं होगी. See, by the time we finished our tenure, then we went to the Siachen wall. These names are all people who had died before us. This wall was khali, by the time we finished it was full. These are people defending our country. Then we would go to a mandir. This was all toughening and training. This were my 256 boys. Take blessings, give a report, and then start climbing. 8 days after where the road finished and the car or truck could not, no car, Fauji truck couldn't go, you start climbing for 8 days. You climb for 1 day, in the evening sit down, rest. This is your climbing. And you sit down, rest, and then again morning, and after 8 days you reach your post which you have to defend the borders of India. The heavy stores you leave behind, packed in bori, a helicopter will throw it from the top like this. You keep walking, now you come closer to the border area. The enemy artillery, those people who fire bolas from 20-30 kilometers away, they fragment, they break your barrels. So you cross all this and you realize now it's serious business. Now it's life or death. This is what I told you. Where there is parachute, the sun will not come directly. So it doesn't melt. All around it melts. So this little parachute piece is up in the air because it's not melted, and all around the barf is melted down. I just explained that to you. Yeah. These are all our kerosene barrels which you need to survive with kerosene. Keep warm. Kerosene barrels are being blasted with enemy fire. This was the base camp of Siachen. At night you are full of sweat. So what you do, you come down to your tracksuit, take off your clothes. There's a little bukhari burning with this kerosene, you dry it, in the morning you wear it, you start walking again. After 3 months, don't worry, you'll have a bath after 3 months. So, this was the area we were defending. There was a post called Ashok, 1,000 feet higher. This was a climb to Ashok, you just had a rope, your shoes has those crampons and you keep putting it into the ice and climb. After 10-20 steps, you are tired, so you take a break. When I was taking a break, one of the company 2 ICs took a photograph. We had a wall behind this. When we inducted, the battalion before us had a casualty. They put him in a sleeping bag and they put him down. It was only so high, less than this actually. And his sleeping bag got stuck. This wall is kept up by a tin sheet. His sleeping bag got stuck on the corner of the tin sheet. And he bled to death. No one could get him out. So we took 1 month. This was Ashok tunnel. We dug the tunnel down and we made it for a person to stand. So that tomorrow if there's any of our people who get injured, you can carry him on a back and his sleeping bag doesn't get stuck again. And my men after 1 month, chale the haath pe, they said, "Sir, dushman pe hamla kara do, ye digging band kara." But one night in firing, 7 casualties got saved because of this tunnel. It is the job of a leader to think ahead and anticipate And then whatever orders he passes, he should be ruthless and democratic, consultative or autocratic. Autocratic. जितने लेके जाऊंगा पूरी कोशिश करूंगा जिंदा वापस लेके आऊं, ये जानते हुए कि शायद ना हो पाए. This was the Pakistan side. They attacked 2-3 times from this side. Times of India, 4th August 99, we repulsed an attack, killed 5 of them. But yet at 19,000 feet, every Sunday morning at 9:30, we would take off our shoes, wear our 8 pairs of socks, and sit down and have a Havan and Mandir. Indian Jawan. The strength of our army is the simple, God-fearing soldier from rural areas. Not the urban consumerist, I'm sorry. I'm telling you what my experience is. That's the strength of our army. And आस्था पे तो पूरा दुनिया टिकी है. ये तो सिर्फ कम्युनिस्ट है जो नास्तिक है. And do you know something? 43% of my company was Muslims. I don't know where they say कि idol worship नहीं करते. जो भी उधर रहते थे, इसमें करीब 50 आइडल थे इस तंबू के अंदर, और सब उधर भजन भी गाते थे, ढोलक भी बजाते थे. There was no problem. I don't understand this. Because in Siachen Battle School they would say, साहब ध्यान रखना, दुश्मन की गोली और पहाड़ का रास्ता कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानता. To this, when I talk to my men, I'm retired now, I would always say 3 things. दुश्मन की गोली, पहाड़ का रास्ता और knowledge कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानता. They would say, साहब आप पहाड़ को इज्जत दो, पहाड़ आपको इज्जत देगा. I lost a Jesu because he forgot to give izzat to the pahad. And after, despite giving all these lectures and sermonizing like my wife says you are fond of, I forgot one thing and I've added it now. Your body also doesn't recognize rank. I had an operation on my knee on 8th of February, became very fine, ACL tear. 9th I was okay. Doctor said you have to go home and rest for 6 weeks. I said, nonsense, army commanders don't go and rest. I have to go back to my command. He said, no sir. So we negotiated. I said, 2 हफ्ते. He said, नहीं sir, 3 से कम नहीं दे सकता, मेरी नौकरी जाएगी. I said, okay, 3 leave. But what we didn't bargain on was, the doctor didn't know that on 13th of February I will fly back to Port Blair and rejoin duty. My body didn't understand that. By 3 days later, my knee had swollen up. 1 week later, they took out 110 ml of fluid. And 2 days after that, fluid blood oozed out. And the knee was so swollen, I was readmitted in hospital for 1 month. And now it's 6 months since my operation and it's going to take another 3 months to be able to walk properly. So दुश्मन की गोली, पहाड़ का रास्ता, knowledge और आपका शरीर कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानता. When enemy shelling used to start, we have something called an ice cave. The splinters can't penetrate the ice cave. जैसे लोग bunker में वो sandbag डालते हैं ना bunker वगैरह के सामने. I sat only twice in that ice cave. Once at the end once for a photo to learn in the beginning what it was, and once 10 days before the induction, and the third was to take a photograph for memory. My men would always say, "Sir, डर लगता है, आप भी आ जाओ. Company commander साहब को कुछ हो गया." The shelling would happen, and I would never go. And I would tell the men, देखो जो गोला बिल्कुल ऊपर से आ रहा है ना, उसकी आप आवाज नहीं सुनेंगे. जिसकी सीटी आएगी वो साइड में जा रहा है, आप सेफ हो. तो डरना क्या है यार, अपने नाम की गोली जब आएगी तो आएगी. But it was false courage. That if the company commander is not scared, then डर तो सबको लगता है ना. The younger people especially. But this is the job of a leader. At personal cost, yes. And every leader has to define his personal cost. Because I remember 8 days before my induction finished, my wife and children were in Bhopal. My doctor, he still tells he's contested Lok Sabha election, Major Himant Singh from Meerut. I've never voted in elections. Because otherwise, it'll be my party right or wrong, did it win or not win. It's not my party right or wrong. It's my country right or wrong. And therefore, I don't vote for any party. And where did I learn this? I was in UK when the second referendum took place for Brexit. I had a very good friend, Mark, Brigadier, became a Major General from the UK Marines. And Mark, I asked him in office, at home, in a pub, when he was drunk, overseas tour के शायद धरती माता पे, UK की धरती माता पे जवाब नहीं दे रहा. कजाकिस्तान में दे देगा. What's your view on Brexit? Ajay, I have no view. I said, but why? It's such a contentious subject. 50% said yes, 50% said no. You had a second vote. He says, Ajay, it is crown policy. जो हम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया पॉलिसी बोलते हैं, यूके में क्राउन पॉलिसी बोलते हैं. He says it is crown policy. I am an organ of the crown, a representative of a crown. I'm an army officer. The day I have a view on my crown policy, I weaken my crown. The day I have a view on government of India policy, I weaken the strength of government of India. अंग्रेज चले गए, थोड़े हजार अंग्रेजों ने पूरे इंडिया पे शासन किया था, उनसे कुछ तो सीख लो. I tell army officers, if I ask you today, is CA आंदोलन हुआ था ना, farm laws, something else, any contentious issue, is it good for the country? Yes sir, ये no sir बताएंगे. I said I have no view, and I give this example और सबको शर्म आती है. I said yeah, when we go to war, we say the whole government will support us. You want a weak government to support you or a strong government? I couldn't care less who's in government. My allegiance is to the constitution and to the president of India, to the people of India. I can't start taking sides. अगर दुश्मन की गोली कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानती, तो दुश्मन की गोली कोई मजहब भी नहीं पहचानती. I have showed you this slide because I want to tell you 3 examples. I have written 3 names behind. A snow scooter was our lifeline. We had only 2. कभी एक खराब रहता था. आदमी पीठ पे उठा सकता है 10 किलो. स्नो स्कूटर 40 किलो उठाता था. हेलीकॉप्टर जहाँ सामान फेंक देते, खांडा डी से ड्रॉपिंग जोन से तो उधर से लेके आते थे. एक दफा ये हमारी कैजुअलिटी थी. पीठ पे उठा के स्नो स्कूटर पे डाल के you are evacuating him. Because at 18,000-19,000 feet, if he has breathing problem and you don't send him down, he'll die. Water comes into his lungs. So these were those 4 people who go roped up like this. We heard some enemy coming. This is the radio set. Antenna to talk. These are all rifles behind. So we would go like this to see, ready to fight. Because you occupying posts, there were gaps in between. One post sentry throughout day or night of blizzard like this. This was Fakira Nagvikar, Sab Nalke mein pani hai. There was a missile. Rocket launchers against helicopters, aeroplanes. Here, this was all enemy shelling. These are holes where sprinters had gone through. If someone would have been standing, his head would have been sliced off. But these sprinters, they were all lying down and sprinters were above. You see, he's in local dress because he's on that post. He's the chap who has to go back, he's waiting for the weather to clear. So I was just lying down waiting here, mausam saaf hoga, so I will go down that Ashok. Similarly, this is what it's snowing. What are you doing? Subah bathroom भी जाना होता है, दांत भी ब्रश करना होता है. So you get 1 mug of water because बर्फ पिघाली है, केरोसिन उतना ही है. So छोटा सा एक मग में भी कुल्ली कर सकते हैं. थोड़ा सा दांत करा, कॉलगेट किया, 2 घूंट लिया. और हमारे यहाँ तो लोग नलका भी चलाते रहते हैं, है ना? Parents teach children नलका मत ऑन रखो. So, or children teach parents to be actually. This was a crevice where we lost 1 person. That Subedar Kishan Mane. I've got a photograph of his. It took 11 days to get his body out. This is a person in the crevice as you go down. Minus 65 to minus 90 degrees inside the crevice. Green ice. And it keeps closing narrower and narrower and narrower. So, I mean, once you go down, it's very difficult to get him up. If you've gone down and you've not been roped. And what? He was in a rope of 4 like this. Enemy shelling had cut our telephone line. So he came up. He was the leader of that post, joined the telephone line, spoke to me, sir, line through hogi, very good, Mane sahab, वापस जाए. And now he wanted to do susu. So the others were men, he was an officer. So all he did was, carabiner is that little thing, round hook, D-hook, which can go in. So he took his carabiner off his personal sling, turned around and walked 3 steps to have a little privacy. And he went straight down the crevice. And this was that crevice from which it took 11 days to get him back. So when we teach in Siachen Battle School, दुश्मन की गोली, पहाड़ का रास्ता, कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानता. साहब आप पहाड़ को इज्जत दो, पहाड़ आपको इज्जत देगा. उन्होंने अगर सिखलाई के खिलाफ अपना कैरेबिनर खोल के बिना रोपा पोके 4 कदम ले लिए, तो क्या उन्होंने पहाड़ को इज्जत दिया? Very brave person. The only survivor in an earlier volunteer tenure in Siachen, in an avalanche which killed 13 others out of the 14. He had one son and one daughter. He named them Amar and Sonam. After 2 posts there, son was Amar, daughter was Sonam. साहब, मैं तो जिंदा वापस आ गया था, मेरा समय नहीं आया है, but उनका समय आ गया था. Very sad day for us. So, when I tell you discipline and I tell you focus, these are universal laws. You don't shave for 3 months, I told you. So when you make out that this chap is not shaved, मतलब ये अगले 3 महीने की जिम्मेवारी लेने आ गया है, जिसकी दाढ़ी लंबी हो गई, वो उसका टाइम पूरा हो गया है. So this was the night when I was explaining him what to do. I told you this Bukhari keeps you warm and alive. And then you come down. This was a Ashok post. Snow scooter goes in, you take it out, and then the barber. You can't just shave. पहले उसको काटना पड़ता है, then you shave and you come back. So I wanted to give you some examples. I'll just finish them in this slide together. In Kashmir, when I was there was a person called Sipahi Philip. He got a Sena medal in Kargil for gallantry. He was from one Naga. Very, very brave person. 8 successive commanders. That means roughly 12 to 14 years period. The tenure is 2 years. He was there for 14 years in Kashmir. Because every commander would say, yaar, Philip, mera tenure nikal do. ठीक है sir. Very brave man. He was the bodyguard of the commander. And I was there once, we were going for an operation near Beach Vihara, slush on the ground, and Firar is something under which if a person has an AK, you can't make out. So if I lift my hand, it looks, I could be lifting an AK. And I was standing here, Brigadier Sukhbir, our commander, was there, and one of the Ikhwans who operate with us, locals, he must have been lifting his hand, and from the side of his eye, Philip saw. And he just took a leap, and he leapt and he, Brigadier Sukhbir fell down, he leapt on his back and he lay down on top of him like this. He sprained his back, he was immobile for a month. But Sipahi Philip was very ready to give up his own life to save the commander's life. And therefore, 8 commanders retained him as a bodyguard. And it is not a surprise that after that, when Kargil broke out, this was 97 Kashmir, his unit 1 Naga was in Kargil. It suffered a lot of casualties. He was one of those who survived. But even in Kargil, he got a Sena medal for gallantry. Does the name tell you what religion he would have? Christian. Did his bravery recognize any religion? In the army, we don't recognize religion. When I give blood to my colleague, I don't say, I just look at the blood type. दुश्मन की गोली नहीं पहचानती, फौजी आदमी नहीं पहचानता, तो मजहब के नाम पे सोसाइटी में बंटवारा मत करिए, नहीं तो देश की ताकत खत्म हो जाएगी. I had a soldier, Bhim Birajda, at Ashok post. As a volunteer, 2 of us went, we fired a rocket launcher, 17 rounds. That's the day we killed 9 enemy. We went ahead to a hazardous place. But in the retaliatory fire a week later, one eye of his got taken off in a splinter. One side of the stomach was open. He couldn't walk, so he was crawling up to that tent which I showed you with splinters. And he was waiting patiently for the doctor, for the officer who knew a little more about medicine, to see one patient who had a digit cut and something else. And that chap says, when I saw him, साहब उसके बाद मेरे को भी देख लेना. Anyone else would have been groaning with an eye missing, a chunk of his stomach gone, and he just put a little piece of cloth or whatever on top to cover it, and waiting कि मेरी साहब इसके बाद मुझे भी देख लेना. That is the bravery of our jawans. Anup Birman, an officer, 2 years of service, 22 years old. I spoke to him a few days ago. Anup Birman had splinters in his spleen. My doctor was a new doctor, Major Himansh. मैं कहता था, मैं कहा तू पॉलिटिशियन ज़्यादा था, डॉक्टर कम था. इसीलिए उसको आम आदमी पार्टी का टिकट भी मिला था मेरठ के लिए 2014 लोकसभा इलेक्शन में. The only time I voted against my conscience, because in that he saved 2 people died in that shelling, 7 he saved till the helicopter could come next morning. I voted for those men of mine. And I voted and went and voted for Aam Aadmi Party, not for the party, but for Anup Birman, for this Dr. Himansh Singh. He lost his deposit. One of those votes he got, few hundred votes was mine. Never before and never after I voted. I didn't vote for him, I voted for someone who saved my men. But Anup Birman, the doctor was flipping his book, Moti medicine की book he studied. मैंने तू क्या कर रहा है? Casualty हो रखी है. Sir मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ because he's saying मेरी छोटी उंगली नम हो रही है. Field telephone पे. I said what does it mean? मुझे भी नहीं पता है. waiting किताब में शायद आंसर निकले. Sir मेरी छोटी उंगली नम हो रही है. Sir he's got Keher signs. Anyone a doctor here? Keher signs means that your spleen has got penetrated. So suddenly there are 4 categories of evacuation. Priority 1 who needs urgent evacuation so his life can be saved. Priority 2 less urgent. Priority 3 least urgent. And priority 4 not urgent at all. Which is priority 4? The chap who's already died. Evacuate him when you have time, he's already dead. So suddenly from priority 3, he became priority 1. And I kept shouting at him. I said, Anup, come down. That same tunnel. No, sir. He came down after all 7 casual injured, 6 other than him were evacuated first. And then he came down. That's a leader. In the army, he didn't make it beyond a lieutenant colonel. But I will respect him more than I respect a lieutenant general like myself, till I learn more about him. He showed bravery in the face of the war enemy. Raja Ghosh Mohiuddin. Where our sports scooter was till where Ashok Post was, the enemy could fire at us very accurately with a heavy machine gun. So we could only move after 7 o'clock at night. And this casualty that happened at 11 in the morning. And there was tension. A leader also cannot pass some orders. I couldn't pass him in any order. I had 2 scooter drivers. Krishna Lonkar, you can think of the religion. And Raja Ghosh Mohiuddin from Ahmedabad. I have a diary. उधर बैठे हैं, ना बिजली है, ना पानी है. थोड़ा सा केरोसिन एक खाली बोतल में डालो, पैराशूट का टुकड़ा काटो, ढक्कन में सुराख करो, विक निकल गया और आग लगाओ. That little thing, what Marathas call temba, that is your temba, that's your light for 1 year on your post, for 6 months on your post. बर्फ पिघाल लो, पानी है. So what? It's like distilled water, multivitamin की tablet खा लो, mineral मिल जाएगा. So we were wondering, यार शाम तक some of these people will die with blood loss and others. Keher sign हो रखा है, किसी को कुछ और हो रखा है. And suddenly we heard the noise of a snow scooter. And in broad daylight, with the enemy firing a machine gun at him, this snow scooter driver just head down. You saw a snow scooter, nothing, it's a small body. And with the wooden sled behind, he makes a run of about 15 minutes to behind a Ashok Post, that wall I showed you. The casualty is put there, turns it around, the casualty is tied with ropes, and he makes a run back. He did it 6 times before dark. What religion है? I couldn't pass him any order. Don't be Gama in land of Lama. Those who go to Ladakh will see this written everywhere. Means, in the land of the Lama, Ladakh, don't be a Gama. A manner of speaking, what is that travel website? There's some. Sorry? Make my trip. Make my trip or something else. I was also consulting Dr. Google when I was putting these slides together for you. This is the first time I'm taking a leadership lecture. I never thought of it. It's something you do instinctively. So, what I mean to say is, if someone says something, just follow this. Saab yaad rakhna, I've already spoken to you about this. And I've already spoken to you about this. The last bit, please read for yourself only the last 2 lines. दुश्मन की गोली पहाड़ का रास्ता और नॉलेज को हिदायत नहीं पहचानते. They also do not recognize color, caste, creed or religion, and nor does excellence or merit. And rank can never be the currency of your discussion or volume. चिल्ला के तुम्हारे point की merit थोड़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ जाती है. We have a motto, the credo of IMA Military Academy, which all officers imbibe in training. The safety, honor and welfare of your country come first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command come next. Your own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always and every time. But to this, as a young officer, I read a book and I made some notes. And I saw it before retiring. I was tearing it up, but I kept a photograph. These notes are of Lieutenant Khalikdor Rabani, of the Israeli Defense Forces when in the Yom Kippur War they had major defeat. The Valley of Tears, I went to Israel and saw that Valley of Tears. He wrote, when an officer accepts command of troops, because some are military abbreviations I wrote, he accepts not only the responsibility of accomplishing a mission, but the guardianship of those who come under his command. The military hierarchy exists and can function because enlisted persons, that is soldiers, entrust their well-being and their life to those who command. When those in command authority either abdicate that authority or neglect this guardianship, more is lost than lives. Lost is the trust that enables those who follow to follow those who lead. And this, I think, defines what a leader is. You cannot be a leader अगर आपको अपने जवानों का दर्द का एहसास नहीं होता है. You cannot be in comfort yourself when your men are not in comfort. I remember we had an attack, we took over on 1st August, on 4th August the enemy attacked. He knows responsibility, दूसरी battalion आ गई है, period of weakness है, इनको अभी attack करो. We killed 5 of them, we were alert, came in the front page of Times of India, my wife and all must have been worried कि ये क्या आ गया, I had to tell someone यार phone करना ठीक ठाक है जिंदा है. But we realized that we were scared, not of the enemy, but we didn't have enough ammunition to if he had attacked again. Luckily he didn't attack again, because we would have had to come out and then fight with our hands. So for the next 1 month, every snow scooter trip and every porter was only moving ammunition. But you know, at that altitude your body starts losing weight, you don't feel like eating. So the government gives us special rations, desi ghee, chivla, this, that, chocolates, kuch to khao. Take some energy inside. Maybe this taste you will like. 3,000 calories a day you get special ration. I said no special ration will come up. No special ration will save your life. If enemy is attacking, you will not throw 5-star chocolates at him. You can only fire ammunition. So the doctor was complaining to my wife last time. I stopped inviting him home now. He keeps complaining to my wife. मैम सर की फाइबर ग्लास हट में पूरा स्पेशल राशन भरा था, खाने नहीं देते थे मेरे को कि जब तक जवानों का एमिनेशन पूरा नहीं होगा और उनका स्पेशल राशन नहीं आएगा तो भी नहीं खाएगा. But gentlemen, that's leadership. How can you be eating special ration knowing your men don't have and you are only inducting ammunition? So leadership is by example, whether that ice cave gets you or not. This is a poem we all had. Please Google it, Rudyard Kipling, If. It symbolizes a life position for all of you. I won't take out time to read it. I'll finish here. And this is a beautiful poem. It's there in NDA Khadakwasta in front of every cadet in his cabin. If you can take your life's earnings and lose them and start again without breathing a word of your loss, if you can run with every mile and put a mile's worth, something like all those things are there, then in the end he says, and what is more, you will be a man, my son, and what is more, yours is the world. With 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that in it. And what is more, you will be a man myself. It's Rudyard Kipling's poem to his son. It applies to all of you in all walks of life, all of us. So I've spoken to you about these things, and I would like to end with a slide which I show everyone even today morning. I'm going to show it tomorrow. This is a prayer every officer in the army should have. But it's also a prayer every leader should have. Like I told you, all of you are leaders. You are our country's leaders. Become good doctors, become good lawyers, become good politicians. Become good everything you choose in your career. You want to be a barber, become a good barber. Gandhiji said, dignity of labor. अगर मैं झाड़ू भी लगाऊं ना, तो इस स्टैंडर्ड की लगाऊं कि मेरे झाड़ू लगाने के बाद कोई आके और मैल ना हटा दे. That is dignity. ऐसा लीडर बनो, ऐसा प्रोफेशनल बनो. And the officer's prayer is, Lord, make me worthy of the men I serve, worthy of their loyalty and devotion to duty, their wondrous willingness and ready laughter, their great humility that asks so little and gives so much so readily without complaint. Grant their simple wishes, Lord, and bless them, please. For in this world, no better soldiers breathe than these. So with that, I have shared with you some of my life's experiences. This could be very long, but keeping the fact that I'm speaking to school students for the future of our country, which we have served, and it's your time now. I will close only with one appeal. Just remember the saying of Siachen Battle School. दुश्मन की गोली कोई रैंक नहीं पहचानती, खून कोई मजहब नहीं पहचानता. Please be good citizens. Don't start teaching others what to do, but in your household, make sure you respect everyone equally. In the eyes of God, everyone is equal. And remember, as Dr. Bhaiti so magnanimously said, all those soldiers right now, every time, day and night, snow and hail, who are guarding your borders with different religions, are guarding your borders ready to die because they love you, they love the people behind them, and they hope that you, tomorrow's generations, will be better citizens and will not recognize any bhedbhav amongst you. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. The talk we just listened was nothing short of awe-inspiring. Your profound understanding of leadership principles, gained through years of service and experience, has left an indelible mark on all of us. I am sure your wisdom and charisma have touched the hearts of everyone present here. After an invigorating session, I now request the future citizens of the global world, our children, to put forth their questions to sir.
I'll be happy if you ask some questions. I'll understand that you've understood possibly some of it. Yeah, please, Peter.
Thank you. So, sir, I had one question that I wanted to ask you, and with no intent to taint the honor of the soldiers that you spoke about, but you had said that when there were Naxalite attacks happening in Chhattisgarh, the soldiers had, refused to deploy soldiers over there because they didn't want to attack on their own men, on their own countrymen. So at times we have now seen that police forces aren't usually well equipped with what it takes to fight such attacks. So if the army men do not go to protect the people or the civilians who are residing there, then who should the civilians look up to for protection?
Okay, very good question, but thank you, please say, I must clarify two things. Firstly, no one refused. The government asked the army chief, what are your views on deploying there? And the army chief happened to come to our command and he was interacting and asking us, and the large number of views said, of course, if it's a government order, we don't bat an eyelid. There was a wonderful article written by Major Jaswant Singh. You all know who was our minister?
Yeah.
He says, he was a Rajput from a small village in Rajasthan, Jasol. He says, शाम को राजस्थान में जैसे होता था गांव में, जब थोड़ी ठंडक हो जाती थी तो लोग इकट्ठे होते थे, उनको पता था मैं आ रहा हूं तो सब इकट्ठे हो गए. और हमारे बुजुर्ग जिन्होंने सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर, फर्स्ट वॉर की लड़ाई में लड़े थे, कि साहब सुना है हमारे लड़के लड़ाई के लिए जा रहे हैं, गए हैं, हाँ गए हैं, श्रीलंका गए थे, कि साहब किससे लड़ रहे हैं वो? एलटीटी से. सर एलटीटी से हमारे को कोई खतरा है क्या? एलटीटी श्रीलंका इंडिया पे अटैक करने वाला है क्या? कि नहीं. तो सर अगर हमारे को कोई खतरा नहीं है तो क्यों गए हैं? Are you understanding? And he said, I remember this article written and Major Jaswant said, for those old soldiers I found it difficult to explain whom they were fighting, who were not a threat to them. Secondly, so when this was being discussed, there is a cost of anything. The army is the Brahmastra of the country. Brahmastra के बाद कोई और अस्त्र नहीं है. Counter-insurgency, Naxal areas, you get sucked in. You will send 1,000 troops today, what happened in Afghanistan? The Americans sent in after the McChrystal surge, they sent in a few lakh troops. They never won. Now, if we had sucked in 2 lakh troops and Pakistan had attacked at that time, then you would have said, sir, aap to army wale ho, Pakistan to chota sa desh hai, kaise hara diya aapko? The cost is, when you start fighting with Naxals, you are not training to fight with an enemy who's a very different way of war fighting. But more importantly, when you look at a green uniform and when there is riots or something, you know that the army means business. We don't shoot in the air. We will say twice and we will shoot. Below the knees, but we will shoot and it is serious. Koi threat nahi hai. So when the army does a flag march, riots get controlled. See, there is a cost. So if the order came, yes, we would have deployed. Next, you saw what happened in Galwan. Do you know that the army doesn't have these police wale helmets and batons and those CRPF wale polycarbonate shields? So we had to borrow from the police forces. So on the TV when you saw it was written ITBP and the army soldiers holding it. We are not equipped for any of that. We are not trained. And if I send my man whose life I have to protect in the last slide for something he's not trained, I'm doing him a disservice as his leader. So in the army they train you that till such time a decision is given, give your opinion. And even if the decision is against my opinion, then I have to fight for that opinion with loyalty and courage. So I must correct you, Peter. It's not, but we were saying thirdly, every citizen of India should say, this is my army. An army which is killing you, can it be your army? In Ireland, when the British army was killing the Irish Republican army, we didn't want those problems to happen. We will do it when it's required, but when there are other police forces who are trained for this, we assist them. We give them helicopters, we give them support. We had people there doing their medical evacuation. But sahi tool ka sahi istemal. Army is not a police force. Have I answered your question? Thank you.
Hi, I'm so good evening. First of all, it's a privilege having you here listening
No,
to
it's
you
my privilege to be
speak
here with
like that.
future bright minds.
So my question to you is that you very rightly spoke about discipline, right? So how have the strategies or principles that you of discipline that you've learned in the army translated back to your life as an individual in your professional world or even in academia in general? Like how has that happened for you?
I'll give you 2 examples, Peter. I wanted to lose weight. I get scared of breathing deep. Breathing mein yoga bhi nahi karta hu because every time I breathe deep, I put on weight. Alright. So I consulted a doctor, Nilanjana. Someone told me she's a good old lady. Her husband is Professor Dinesh Singh, Vice Chancellor, famous. So I've never met her. We spoke on the phone and she said, General, can you follow a diet? I said, I'm an army officer. Of course I can. She said, intermittent fasting. Is it done? 8 months I did intermittent fasting. I'd never done. People say, yaar, gradually, pehle 8 घंटा कर लो, 12 घंटा कर लो. I said, why? 16 hours. भूख नहीं लगती. लगती है. आज नहीं खाना खाएंगे, कल मिल जाएगा, मरेगा कोई थोड़ी. When you in लड़ाई they say, okay, you should be ready to fight for 72 hours without food or sleep. How can I be a soldier ready to fight if मेरे को तो 8 घंटे बाद भूख लग जाएगी? So not only did I do it for 8 months after my knee problem, beta for the last 2 months I have breakfast at 9. My lunch is 1 glass of lassi, and my dinner is at 5 o'clock. And if it's past 5, मैं मुंह में निवाला नहीं डालता. And only because of Dr. Behti, I'm going to make an exception. So I think these examples, the day you decide, you can exhibit more discipline than me. The day you decide this is important for me. Last night I slept 3 hours. I slept at 3:15 because I was making slides in the aeroplane. That pilot, air hostess came, your food. I said, don't disturb me. I was making notes for today morning's lecture. See? I mean, I have come all this way to speak to young officers. और अगर मेरे slide 20 के 19 रह गए, तो I'm not doing justice. They are the future of the army. खाना आज कम नहीं सोए तो यार आज रात को सो जाएंगे, आज नहीं सोए कल सो जाएंगे, कोई नहीं मरता बिना खाए बिना सोए. मगर जो बादाम के लड़ुए होते हैं ना, वो रोटी भी ऐसी चाहिए, खाना भी ऐसा चाहिए. If you studied in a boarding school, I would appeal to you, ये खाने पे और रेस्ट पे त्याग दो तो आप कामयाब होंगे लाइफ में. Sir. नमस्कार सर.
मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि कभी
सर, मैं
ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि कभी भी आपको ऐसा अवसर प्राप्त हुआ कि एनमी के आर्मी का सोल्जर माफी मांगने आया हो और उसको आपने माफ किया हो, जिससे कि वो अपने कंट्री में जाकर ये कह सके कि इंडियन आर्मी के ऑफिसर ऐसे भी है जो माफ करते हैं और वो बदला लेने का कोई इरादा नहीं रखते। ऐसा कोई अवसर प्राप्त हुआ आपको?
सर, आप मेरे से माइक में और कैमरे के सामने एक सवाल पूछ रहे हैं जो कि मेरे को अरेस्ट करा सकता है क्योंकि उस मौके पे मैंने वो नहीं करा जो आपने कहा था। और वो पाकिस्तान आर्मी का कोई नहीं था, वो एक टेररिस्ट था जिसने 17 जवान मारे थे, कैप्टन नाग मारा था, एक हरकतुल इंसार का बटालियन कमांडर था, उसका नाम भी मैं नहीं बताऊंगा। और बचने के लिए वो दुआ मांग रहा था और हमने कहा अल्लाह ताला को याद कर लो, आपको हम 5 मिनट का समय दे रहे हैं। और मैं आपको आश्वासन देता हूँ उसको पाकिस्तान वापस जाने का मौका नहीं दिया था हमने।
Sairam sir. Sir, it was a great experience listening to you. I wanted to ask if you could share an example of a challenging incident as a leader in the army that you faced and how you tackled it and overcame it through your leadership skills.
Okay, beta, I'll tell you what happened. Actual, I mean, I'm too old to say anything which is other than actuals. Okay, you see this missile position? I was writing about it. The battalion I volunteered at 16 years service. I was 36 years old, 37 years old, 2 young children. I volunteered from Rashtriya Rifle, Kashmir Valley Counterinsurgency. I was sent to UN peacekeeping in Angola, Africa. From there, when I volunteered for Siachen, my contingent senior Colonel K.T. Parnaik. Today he is Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, Governor of Arunachal. He said, Ajay, you don't want to go back to your unit, why are you volunteering to go to another unit and fight on Siachen? I said, sir, I've tried once more earlier, no one has accepted it. So he signed my application and I got posted to an infantry battalion called 26 Maratha. I reported to Siachen on 2nd April. We inducted before we were training to go up. Suddenly Vijay started Kargil, so our company was sent to Kargil. Then we were rushed back and in July we started climbing. August our responsibility started. This is our forward left post called Malone. He was the post commander of Subedar Fakira Nagrikar. Sabnal ke mein to pani hai. And across this, not on this side but this side, was an enemy post which we used to fire at and he would fire at us. So we decided that we have to fire a missile to try and destroy that bunker. Now if you come out on top, he can see movement and he fires at you. Like he fired at Raja Ghosh Mohiddin, snow scooter. So we made a big tube which is called a Grad P. You see in Ukraine war they show those tubes, 8 and missiles firing one. So we had a single tube with a Grad P launcher. It used to make a lot of noise and totally inaccurate. If I aim here, it will go there. But very frightening noise. And when Bofors guns used to fire, the enemy used to put his head down, not on other guns, because the splinters of Bofors were very powerful. So with a lot of effort, Bofors was firing. It can only fire for 15 minutes. Ammunition is limited. So we had timed that the moment Bofors fire 10 minutes is on, we will fire the Grad P. So how do you fire? It's a single tube, it's not on a truck. People have carried it, placed it in the snow, andhere mein raat ke. That snow scooter has to leave at 2 in the morning. So you wear your 8 pairs of socks at 1 o'clock. And you get on the snow scooter because it can get spoiled. He has to come back before sunrise. Otherwise the enemy will see him and destroy that one snow scooter you have. So at 2 o'clock we reached, we deployed everything. So there was a wire going, वो Second World War की picture में देखा है that little box where you push it down and electrical current goes in the wire and it touches the primer behind and fires the rocket. So there were 2 of us who went. There was a Subedar Mahinder Ghag, volunteer from 11 Maratha, and I was the company commander, so I went. And when we were going to see that rocket should generally point towards the enemy, otherwise why will we be frightened if it goes somewhere else? So when we were walking back, trying to keep a crouch, the enemy must have seen us and suddenly ये जो इधर कारपेट पे गोल निशान बना है इतने बड़े black puff, black, and we said, oh God, these are mortar rounds of the enemy. If it was on this ground and around here, it would have created 500 sprinters and killed everyone in the first 10 meters. But because it was soft snow, the rounds were going inside and bursting like this. We were not seeing the sprinters because they were not hitting us. See, so you don't be Gama in the land of Lama. At 19,000, 18,500 feet, you don't run. Because if you run, you go out of breath, and if you go out of breath, then you'll sweat, and if you sweat, it hardens on your body, and then you'll die of cold. So we were trying to walk, and I realized ये तो अगर walk करेंगे तो ये अगला round अपने ऊपर ही आएगा. Like sorry, I forgot that ice cave incident. I must complete that first. So suddenly, 8 days before, our fiberglass hut was shaken. And what are you sleeping on? वो जो पैराशूट के नीचे डब्बा आता है जो स्नो स्कूटर पे रख के लाते हैं उसमें एक लकड़ी का फट्टा होता है. वो लकड़ी का फट्टा 4 पुरानी खाली केरोसिन की जेरी कैन के ऊपर रख देते हो. कहाँ का डेवलप मैट्रेस, वो 1 साल उसी पे सोते हैं. तो हम उस पे सो रहे थे, थोड़ा सा हिल जाओ तो बैरल से भी गिर जाते हो. वो उस पे इसलिए सोते हैं, बैरल कम ठंडा होता है, लकड़ी है, इंसुलेटर. And we were shaking. Around it exploded so close it shook our hut. And I opened my eyes, and the doctor was sitting ready. It takes 5 minutes to get ready. 8 pairs of socks, garter, down trouser. And I said, false bravado idhar tak hi. मैंने 8 जोड़ी मोजे उठाए, नंगे पांव डाले कोफराच में, ऐसे डॉक्टर भाग लो. भाग लो means what? I got out and the ice cream was there. So then ice cream में बैठ के I was wearing my socks and down trousers and everything. So जोश के साथ होश भी होना चाहिए. But coming back here, when we were doing this, I said, bhag lo. We started running. After 3 steps, you can't see that Pagdandi in which there's a beaten track and not soft snow. And I went up to this much in snow. I just went in because it was soft snow. When my foot went in, I went into. It's not an avalanche, it was just soft snow because so many feet of snow. But if you are this much into snow, you can't come out yourself. And these rounds are following all around. And look at the bravery of Mahinder Ghar. I tell him today, Mahinder, teri wajah se zinda hu. We speak on the mobile. He settled in Kolhapur. He then he said, "Kya baat kar rahe hain?" I said, "Bhag le." He said, "Nahi sir." And he was about 10 steps ahead of me. He ran back and pulled me out. And we both again started running. We had to run about 80 meters to the car park where the baby stopped. And 30 meters away was this launcher. But because there was fire all around, the launcher operator had left the launcher and gone to the safety of the ice cave, thinking that now this shoot is called off. We took a call that so many rounds have been wasted for 15 minutes of gophers firing, so much preparation has been done, we'll take the risk. And I said, bhag, plunger daba. He had to run another 2 minutes and press that plunger, and I took lying position. And if I say that I fired the missile, I'll be saying a lie. I had just taken position, and that he pressed the plunger and that rocket fired, and it was so loud that involuntarily made a trigger up again. And next thing I'm seeing, missile is on the way. See, so, and I was trying to correct it, and I was an instructor in gunnery as a captain, and I was remembering, sab IR goniometer, aap cross upar rakho, it will come up and correct. But by the time I realized the missile had missed and hit 4 feet below. And what was 4 feet below? We did not know that that bunker we were aiming never got damaged because it was a double bunker. The ammunition was below, 6 feet below, and the actual bunker जिस पे हम aim करते थे ऊपर था. तो अगर ऐसे नहीं होता तो मैं गलत bunker पे मारता, मगर क्योंकि मैंने miss किया, वो ammunition पे लग गया. And the 2 people who used to always guard that ammunition on top, I could see their limbs, hands and feet through my magnifying sight flying in the air. The explosion went 10-15 meters into the air. That bunker was burning for next 6 hours. But that spot of the moment decision cannot be taught to anyone. You have to take your call. And I do remember that after that, maybe bhag liya, missile jaise hi hit hua, I got up, there were rounds all over and I ran. But in the cave, I couldn't speak because my troops were going berserk, about 14 of them. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj ki jai, Chhatrapati Maratha Vijay so. And our phone was ringing. And he said, quiet, quiet, quiet. And the CO was calling, who fired that missile? So what do you tell him?
Everybody knows what is happening in East India nowadays. Manipur, Assam के साइड में कितना अत्याचार, कितने वायलेंस हो रहे हैं. जैसा अभी आपने कहा कि एक्सटर्नल और इंटरनल मास्त्र शस्त्र जो है उसका उपयोग करके क्यों ना वहाँ शांति स्थापित की जा सकती है. वहाँ के जो बिल्कुल ऐसे लोग हैं जिनका किसी
सर माइक ऐसे पकड़ ली, आवाज क्लियर। हाँ
ब्रह्मास्त्र शस्त्र का उपयोग करके क्यों ना वहां पे या पूरे देश में शांति स्थापित की जा सकती है?
सर मैं आपको एक बात बताना चाहूँगा, मैं आपके सवाल के पहले हिस्से से थोड़ा सा असहमत हूँ। When you say everybody knows, माफ करना सर, मैं तो आर्मी का आर्मी कमांडर था, साथ ही होते हैं 2 महीने पहले तक, मुझे नहीं पता सर आप क्या बोल रहे हो। आपको शायद पता होगा इतने साल पहले रिटायर होके, बट मुझे ये जरूर ज्ञात है कि जो मीडिया में आता है इतना सरल नहीं है। मेरे साथी अभी उधर काम कर रहे हैं, मैंने उनसे बात करी है। उधर जो कुकीज आ रहे हैं, जो ड्रग स्मगलिंग हो रही है, जो बड़ा पैसा इन्वॉल्व है, जो चाइना अपना जानबूझ के हमारे को डाइवर्ट करने के लिए चाइना बॉर्डर से ट्रूप्स डाइवर्जन के लिए कर रहा है, बहुत बहुत कहानियां हैं सर, और ये सारी कहानियां न्यूज़पेपर में भी नहीं आ सकती हैं। तो मैं आपको आश्वासन दिलाना चाहूँगा, दिस इज अ विकेड प्रॉब्लम। इन यूके दे से who is better, a Shia or a Sunni? It's a wicked problem, and that's why in Syria the fighting is only now being put behind and they are talking to each other. So there are some problems which are very intractable, which are wicked problems. This problem of caste, of tribe demarcation is a very wicked problem. It doesn't have an easy solution, but I assure you there is nothing the country is not doing to put things in order. Everything can be done provided the appeal to maintain harmony is maintained.
We now close the question answer session. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful support and guidance.
Thank you.
Mr. Vijay Soni, Assistant Commissioner, State GST, is a fervent devotee of Bhagwan Baba. The multi-talented Mr. Soni is an artist and a writer par excellence, a marathon runner, an American Council of Exercise certified personal trainer, and fitness nutrition coach, lifestyle coach, a blog writer, and the list is endless. Sir has poured his heart and soul in writing about the sacrifices of our brave hearts who have been conferred with the Paramveer Chakra in his book Bharat Ke Gaurav Paramveer Chakra Vijayta. Tribute to our soldiers will enchant and captivate the readers and ignite a spark of emotions in them. I humbly request our distinguished guest, Lieutenant General Ajai Singh, Chairman Dr. Ramesh Baheti, and Mr. Vijay Soni to unveil the book Bharat Ke Gaurav Paramveer Chakra Vijayta.
अमर रहेंगे वीरों तुम्हारी अमर कहानी, युगों युगों तक गूंजती रहेगी तुम्हारी वीर गाथा। ए वीर बलिदानी, रहेगा अमर सदा बलिदान, रहेगा अमर सदा बलिदान, युग युग तक यह देश कहेगा जय हो अमर जवान, जय हो अमर जवान। We salute our brave hearts. Thank you. I request the dignitaries to kindly take their seats. The guests may collect their copy of the book at the entrance of the auditorium before they leave.
Sir, since this book is about PVC winners, I would like to share with you that the government on 22nd January this year, the Honorable Home Minister came to Andaman where I was commanding, and 21 islands in Andaman Nicobar Command, 836 islands have been named after these same Paramveer Chakra winners.
I request Honorary Secretary Mr. Tribhuvan Sachdeva to kindly present a memento to Lieutenant General Ajai Singh as a token of our utmost respect and gratitude. Thank you, sir. I now call upon the head boy, Avdesh Dubey, to please propose the vote of thanks.
Sairam to everyone present here. I, first and foremost, thank my Divine Master, Bhagwan Baba, for always showering his blessings. Today, we had the immense privilege of hosting an extraordinary individual who embodies the very essence of leadership. On behalf of the entire school community, I express my gratitude to the distinguished Lieutenant General for sharing his remarkable insights on leadership. We were deeply moved by the anecdotes and real-life experiences shared by you, sir. They brought to life the principles of leadership in action. Your humility and dedication to the service of the nation has set an exemplary benchmark for all of us to follow. The emphasis laid down on the importance of integrity, resilience, and adaptability struck a chord with everyone present here. These values resonate deeply with our school's ethos, and we are truly grateful for the reinforcement of these timeless ideals. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to our chairman, respected Dr. Ramesh Baheti, for his vision and effort to have given us a chance to interact with such an erudite personality. It is our good fortune that Sir will be giving us another golden opportunity on 23rd of September 2023 to interact with Honorable Shri Najib Jan, the former Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, on the topic Gita and Islam. I request you all to be there for the enlightening session. My earnest thanks to Tribhuvan Sachdeva sir and Sham Bhatia sir, Pranjpe sir and Anju Chopra ma'am for the guidance and motivating presence. A sincere thank you to the member of Board of Governors, Parents Committee, eminent guests and parents for being a part of this momentous occasion. I deeply thank the admin team for their impeccable arrangements. Let us move forward with renewed determination and commitment to embody the true spirit of leadership in everything we do. Thank you so much.
May I now request the school band sitting on the first floor gallery to play the national anthem live. All are requested to rise for the same.